Today, we'll talk about market structure breaks and the mistakes that most people do. We'll talk about everything: stop loss hunts, liquidity pools, smart money concepts, structure breaks, order blocks, optimal trade entry. Everybody talks about trading strategies, but nobody talks about little trading details. Today will be a great day for you. You'll learn a lot about real and fake market structure breaks. We have so much to cover. If you're ready, let's start. Welcome our free trading course. We only talk about price action trading strategies and smart money concepts. With this video, you'll learn how to become winner trader from a losing trader. If you are looking for a structured table of contents, I set it up for you. You can find it on Google Drive or directly from my website, which is in the description. It is important to watch videos in order to fully understand everything. One of the most common questions that I get is there a way to confirm a market structure break? First of all, you must remember that trading is a game of educated guessing and statistics, but nothing else. Never ever forget it. That being said, yes, we have ways to improve our chances. Notice this structure, which keeps making new higher highs and higher lows, and later on it leaves liquidity above. So, by only seeing this, you have a sort of bias for the price movement going up. If you find yourself stuck with a messy structure, keep looking for liquidity and imbalances. They are the most powerful magnets. They will guide you. This structure creating a liquidity pool below. Then suddenly it makes an internal market structure break. How trustable is this internal break? I generally call this dangerous MSB. Price did not fill up enough. It could be a trap. Let's rethink the structure. This time, the price strongly moves down and grabs most of the closed liquidity, and then powers up and creates a market structure break. Now let me ask you, which MSB is better and more trustable? There's nothing 100% sure in trading, but you can easily improve your trading with little details like this. If I need to sum it up, take a note now. A market structure break that is powered by liquidity and imbalances is 100 times stronger than other market structure breaks. Okay, let's get back to Bitcoin. I was mostly out this week. However, even in my busy schedule, I was able to take trades. As you already know, we are still keeping our range. At the beginning of the week, I noticed this giant 1-hour balance price range above and the equal highs. Plus, we were in the range discount areas. So, I have like 3 bias confirmations here. Range low, balance price range magnet, equal highs. What is my bias then? Yes, up, up, up. Just like I said before, if I ever get stuck inside an unclear structure, I will always have liquidity and imbalances guide me. Let's take a closer look at what really happens here within the 15-minute time frame. We are having a range in a range. Yes, 15-minute range inside the 1-hour range. Basically, what are ranges for? For explosions, big pumps and dumps. I was expecting a little manipulation and going up. So all this range basically was the order accumulation phase of an internal power of 3. Then the price is manipulated right here by clearing these equal lows. Basically the internal inducement before the big rally. Now let's talk about my trades. I took a swing trade and also day trade at the same time, but how? Notice this deeper low. This created the manipulation phase of power of 3. This high creates it. This is where the true MSB happens. Then placing my premium and discount tool to get an idea about the fair price. Finally, I took a trade, but what kind of trade is this? This was a swing trade. I 100% separate my trading between swing trades, day trades, and testing other strategies. You can use different exchanges or use sub-accounts in the same broker. It is up to you. This way is much better. I have this very large stop loss, which can cushion my trade against a bigger manipulation pullbacks, as you can see. All great. What about day trading? Let's look at how we can detect a real and a fake MSB, or at least improve our winning chances. After the big structure shift, I need you to look closely at this tiny internal MSB for scalping. How trustable is this market structure break? Notice these little liquidity areas just below the MSB. There is a high possibility of a fake MSB. Can you use this? Maybe if you take your stop loss really large until this deepest lower low to acquire all these little liquidity, yes, it is possible. Okay, let's talk about real MSB and entries. First of all, notice this optimal trade entry. Remember the inducement lessons. Most important liquidity mostly keeps gathering right below and above important structures like order blocks, breaker blocks, or optimal trade entry. Notice the inducement here. All those lovely liquidity hunted right here, also right inside this order block. Then the price sweeps it with this very long wick. I love long wicks like this, perfect indication of liquidity hunts. Then look what happens. A real market structure break. Look at this impulsive movement. Very strong displacement happens here. Rest is easy. Entry and large enough stop loss to cushion yourself against deeper pullbacks to this imbalance and the deep order block. As you can see, guys, we all use very similar entry techniques and keep repeating the same things. Like Bruce Lee said, I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Okay, folks, this is it. This is how you fix your mistakes and move on. These are great trading strategies for scalpers and day traders. I hope you subscribe to the channel and like the video. Thank you, please take care and see you soon.